Hello and welcome to Brodual, and welcome to the third episode of our Top 100 Skyrim Mod Series. We have another great mixture of mods today, and we'll be starting off the episode at number 90 with the Expanded Towns and Cities mod. This is a fantastic city overhaul that focuses on the smaller settlements around Skyrim that are usually ignored by the majority of city mods out there. Its main aim is to breathe life and variety into those usually bland settlements, giving each one its own clear identity. The author has taken their original layout or style and then expanded on them in interesting ways. So it's not just about adding a bunch of trees and other bits of clutter. The mod adds entirely new handmade structures, like the new walls that surround Winterhold, Dawnstar and Morthal. There are also new types of buildings, like the museum in Falkreath or the variety of new market stalls that suit each settlement's own style. These changes can completely restructure a city, giving them a whole new shape. The mod then fleshes out these new areas with a bunch of new NPCs, who will come with realistic schedules and their own unique role to play in the city. The mod affects well over a dozen settlements around Skyrim, several of which were probably skippable during your second or third playthrough. But with expanded towns and cities installed, it's like exploring in a whole new world. You can also take it one step further and install an optional patch that adds unique textures for each city too, adding a fresh bit of colour to each settlement. This really helps separate towns that were similar in building style and location, like Falkreath and Riverwood or Morthal and Dawnstar. The only downside of the mod is that it significantly impacts performance, sometimes dropping up to 20 frames per second in certain areas. Although on average we found the drop to be around 5 to 7 FPS, which isn't too bad, but it's something to keep in mind. If exploration is key in your enjoyment of Skyrim, then this is a must-have for veteran players. Jumping to number 89, we have the player exclusive animations mod, also known as PCEA 2. This is part of the FNIS family, which if you've ever installed an animation mod, you'll more than likely be familiar with. PCEA 2 lets you create your own custom animation packages that are exclusive to the player, and then gives you the ability to switch between them on the fly while playing. Normally to install an animation mod you have to close the game, and then it'll be applied to all NPCs of the same gender. But PCEA 2 makes this so they only apply to the player. This can be great for a variety of reasons. Maybe you want the Dragonborn to stand out above the rest, or maybe you're switching between two characters with different fighting styles. Or maybe as your character becomes more skilled and confident, you can switch from a normal pose to a more bold one, where your Dragonborn stands high and proud. Having the ability to switch between animations instantly can save you a whole bunch of time and effort. When you first install the mod, you'll start with 7 pre-packaged animation mods, but there's dozens of others you can download separately and then add to your collection. Altogether, PCEA 2 gives you insane amounts of control and flexibility for your animation mods, and it's become a must-have for a lot of players. Coming in at 88, we have Crash Fixes. After compiling years of crash reports from the community, Crash Fixes was made in an attempt to fix as many of them as possible. It's an SKSE plugin that has worked wonders for a lot of players. How it works isn't really important, and to be honest it's a little over our heads, but what we can say is that it's helped tens of thousands of players. One of its most important features disables Skyrim's own memory allocation system and uses the default Windows one instead. This can potentially help players with bigger mod lists who experience a lot of crashes, and it might even improve your loading times. Some people claim Crash Fixes didn't help them at all, while others say it's been a gift from Akatosh himself. We think it's definitely worth a try since it's simple to install and remove at any time. As always, be sure to back up any saves before attempting any fixes. At 87, we have better dialog controls. This is a must-have for keyboard and mouse users. It fixes the very common issue where your mouse and keyboard clash over a dialog window. Basically, in the vanilla game, the position of your cursor would take priority over the dialog option. So when you press E to select what you think is the highlighted option, it'll suddenly jump and select the option your cursor happens to be hovering over. The cursor can also flat out prevent you from shifting through the options using your keyboard. The mod fixes the issue completely. It makes it so the center option in the dialog window is always the one you select with your keyboard, regardless of where your cursor is. On top of that, it also lets you use your mouse to select any of the options directly. So whether you use only the mouse or only the keyboard or even both together, the option you select will always be the correct one. The mod also makes scrolling with the mouse identical to the speed of pressing the up or down button on the keyboard, which makes things more consistent when mixing both methods together. So you can scroll with your mouse and then press E and it'll still work fine. So all in all, as I said, it's a must-have for PC users. And it's available for the special edition too, so be sure to grab it. And for today's final mod at number 86, we have Footprints. This nifty little mod does exactly what it says on the tin. It adds footprints to Skyrim. This not only affects the player, but also NPCs and around a dozen other creatures, each coming with their own style of footprint. The mod works for all types of movement on the snowy hills of Skyrim and also in the ashy wastelands of Solstheim. The mod has little to no impact on performance, and by default you can see up to 800 footprints on your screen at the same time, although this can be tweaked up or down in the mod menu. As you can see, the footprint effects are essentially applied instantly, as soon as your foot hits the ground. although it can be inconsistent when running at high speeds, but you'll still see a clear trail of steps behind you, even if every single step wasn't imprinted. The mod also pairs fantastically with Hunterborn, letting you track down your prey using little more than their footprints. It's easy to lose sight of a small rabbit or even a large deer in a snowstorm, so tracking their footprints can be an effective way to hunt. Originally, the author planned to include footprints for mud, dirt and sand, but unfortunately the last update of the mod was nearly 2 years ago, so that didn't happen. But nevertheless, this is a great little mod for immersion and definitely worth a go. And that's the end of today's Top 100 video. As always, be sure to leave endorsements on any mod you enjoy, be sure to check out g2a.com, and thanks for watching.